So we don't need to go into too many details about how important social media is, but just to set the stage for this interview, let me just state that social media is very important in our lives these days. In fact, if you go through TV news, primetime TV news bulletins, you will see that a lot of what happens on social media is what will then inform the news and the news narrative. So joining us today at ThePrint is the co-founder and CEO Aprameya Radhakrishnan of App. You would have already heard about it. It's India's biggest microblogging platform, if I'm not mistaken. Aprameya, thank you so much for joining us here at ThePrint.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. So to start off with, let me ask you, what's happening at Koo? What's new at Koo? What are the user growth numbers like? Tell us a bit about what's happening at Koo to start off with.
Yeah, over the last couple of years, we've received a lot of love from Indians all across, not just in India, but across the globe as well. We've got a user base which has downloaded Koo 45 million times right now, out of which 10 million are active every month. So that is something that we've achieved in the last couple of years alone. And we're in 10 languages. Predominantly the largest language being Hindi on the platform, followed by English and all other languages. So that's broadly how we've grown, and we've also got like 7,000 plus eminent profiles on the platform who are talking to their followers. So it's been a wonderful growth story.
Yeah. So just to set the record straight, Koo is about focusing on Indian language and encouraging users to communicate or to express themselves in Indian languages.
Yeah, so Koo is developed to be an inclusive microblogging platform. Inclusive would mean that everybody has a voice in India, but unfortunately everybody's voice is not on the open internet. A lot of people who use WhatsApp, their voices are stuck in WhatsApp groups which are private.
Yeah.
Right. And English-focused microblogging platforms have only 1% of India talking to each other. So what we are trying to do is get the 99% of India to be able to express themselves on the open internet, make new connections with people who are showing similar interests, like a Kannada-speaking cricket lover meeting another Kannada-speaking cricket lover only happens on Koo. Famous cricketers, for example, Virat Kohli talking in Hindi happens only on Koo. So these are some of the unique use cases that enable a whole new network of people who are expressing their thoughts and opinions on everything that happens in the country.
And speaking of these English-dominated microblogging platforms, I mean, that could only mean Twitter at this point. And I would assume that Koo considers Twitter to be one of its competitors in this space. And also when we talk about Twitter, we should also be talking about big tech and all the other large social media platforms out there as well. So my question to you is, how do you view this, the kind of pull and tug or the conflict that could be and is in how big tech complies with laws in various countries? Does this happen in a uniform way, or this whole pull and tug between big tech and complying with laws around the world? What's your view on this?
Yeah, I think global tech approaches every country with a very simple narrative. Right? Like it basically says, your country, my rules. Right? What we have kind of done is change that a bit, saying your country, your rules. Right? So the way Koo operates is about your country, your rules. When we operate in India, it's about Indian law. When we operate in the future in Indonesia or Nigeria, it will be about Indonesia and Nigerian laws. So respect to how the offline world functions in a country is very important, according to us. And I think not being able to follow that is what is leading to a lot of friction in the way global tech operates.
But Aprameya, also, if you keep complying, or if these big tech platforms, in a way, they feel like they have to bend or they have to compromise their integrity sometimes when they have to comply with whatever the government in whatever jurisdiction wants. So I think that's where that conflict arises. Do you feel it's fair for a company to feel like it's giving into a government or a government order?
No, but fundamentally, the country's citizens have elected a representative, a leader who will take calls on their behalf. So finally, it boils down to what the local government puts down as rules and regulations for any company to comply. It is, so whether it's real estate, whether it is retail, whether it is any other, even media, right? Everything is defined in a framework around which companies have to operate in the interest of the user, right? Which is the citizen of the country. Now, to say that a privately held for-profit organization cares more about India's citizens than the government that has been elected by them is slightly wrong, right? As in, all that a private company will care about is, how to increase value for their shareholders beyond actually the, definition of freedom of speech or anything else, right? And inconsistency in behavior by global tech platforms have actually led us to believe that that is true, right? Banning certain people, not banning certain people for the same kind of behavior, depending on what the platform feels is right or wrong, is wrong behavior anyways, right? So if there is an entity to trust for the citizens of a country, their own government is better than a privately held for-profit organization.
Got it. And moving on, you mentioned freedom of speech, free speech, which is also a very hotly debated topic. Various people have various interpretations of what free speech means. How does KU approach free speech? And what do you do when you have a decision to whether do you take down content, or do you keep it? Do you block someone, or do you not block them? Like, how does KU approach these very difficult decisions when there's sometimes no 100% black and white answer?
Yeah, I think, all these scenarios we try to simplify as much as possible. The simplification happens with alignment with local law of land. So, what is considered acceptable and unacceptable? If the boundaries of behavior offline and online, if you're not going to stand in front of 100 people and shout out something, right, in the offline world, you will, the same thing is applicable to the online world, where you're not just talking to 100, you might be talking to 1,000, right? So I think that basic first principle thinking of, okay, is this allowed offline? Would this be, would the person get away with it? Is it because it is anonymous? What is the reason why this behavior is happening, right? So I think all of that is very important to understand, and try to make it as black and white as possible. Whether it's harassment, whether it's hate speech, whether it's pornography, all of these are broadly defined black and white. Like hate speech might have more gray areas, but pornography is black and white, right? So you know what to block, what not to block as our machine learning algorithms learn it. But hate speech, maybe 70% is black and white, 30% is gray. So 70% at least we will deal with in black and white. Okay. 30%, our goal is to be as non-interfering as possible as a platform. Okay. The more judgment a platform shows, the less neutral it will become, right? So our idea is to keep being neutral, keep being as non-judgmental, keep being as non-interfering as possible, unless we know clearly that it is black.
Aprameya, what is KU's procedure when it comes to government orders to take down content? Like usually we see with Twitter, we've seen users who post an email that Twitter sends them saying, we got a notice about this content, but we're not taking any action. Like, how does Ku deal with these situations? Like, what would be your procedure? Do you inform the user that maybe the government has asked you to take down content, or how do you deal with it?
Yeah, we're an India registered company, Indian founders, India's laws apply. So we will, as in if there is an official takedown request, we will comply with it. That is black and white, right? Mm-hmm. In order to make sure that we remain transparent and consistent with the user will be informed of the exact reason why their content has been taken down. Okay. So it is a very process. So we don't add our judgment of whether this is right or wrong, and that is the right thing to do. So as a platform, you're informing the user that a particular regulatory body sees this as harmful to the country or whatever the other reason is, and hence it has been taken down. So transparency is taken care of. Following the local law of land is taken care of. And now if there needs to be any change, it is between the user or the set of users who have been affected to actually, go and take it up with the particular regulatory body, saying that, this was done before and we would like to come and discuss a better way of doing it. So, you're actually behaving like a platform rather than taking a judgment call.
Yeah. Has there been any instance where Ku decided to block someone or permanently suspend their account? And if so, what kind of decision did Ku take there? Where you saw problematic content from a user, what happened?
So all decisions on content are taken at a post level. We don't have an account level banning policy, right? Unless it is like repeated pornography posts or repeated hate speech and stuff like that, which is very obvious. But we deal with everything at a post level, which means you will never be blocked from talking to your audience and your followers altogether, right? If you have made a mistake in one of your posts, that will be brought to your notice and action will be taken on that post. Treating you as a criminal forever is something that we will avoid as a platform.
Got it. And moving forward, tell us a bit more about what are the future plans for Ku? Like, what do you see for Ku in the future? What's your larger vision here?
We will become the default microblogging app of India. We will be one of the first countries to become digitally independent for thoughts and opinions on the internet, right? Which is a very important thing. Like, you look at Russia-Ukraine war, Russia has been plugged out of, various things internationally. And it's important to be digitally independent so that, disagreeing with somebody's opinion shouldn't lead to disruption in digital life for your citizens. So I think we're heading in the right direction. Who will be an example, and we will enable this power of becoming digitally independent for every other country who is looking for a solution like this.
Is Ku currently looking at more investments or anything of the sort?
So we are, continuously growing aggressively, which means that we need more resources, team and costs on technology, and we need more people to know about Ku and hence marketing. So we will keep raising money. We're not like very aggressively looking at it right now, but we will at the right time. We are also looking to reduce the dependency on external funding by introducing monetization onto the platform, which is happening very soon. One of the first few campaigns actually went live on Independence Day, so that will pick up momentum as we keep going.
Any last thoughts you would like to share, Aprameya, as we wrap up?
I think it's important to have a platform that includes everybody in daily conversation. Who does that with language? Who does that with including India's laws into the way of functioning, right, as well. So understanding why to use Ku is very important. If a person, so for example, I'm sure you've never spoken in an Indian language on the internet. right? But at home, you might be speaking an Indian language,
Sure.
right? So if you want to build or share your thoughts with local language speaking Indians and build an influence with all your thoughts, even in local language, there is no other platform apart from Ku, right? If you want to, keep influencing the same set of folks that are talking English in India, what you're doing today is enough. You don't have to do anything else. But if you want your thoughts and opinions to be shared with larger audience of India who speaks language, you use our multilingual queuing feature. You talk in Kannada, Tamil, Telugu, Hindi, all other languages. Every little thought that you have that you're sharing in English, you also share in these languages. Your thoughts are shared with a wider audience and a new audience that has never heard you before, right? So I think that's very important to make sure that India unites on a daily basis on thoughts and opinions, and we're not living in a bubble of English.
Yeah, cool. I have a final question. I'll just ask you. And I went through your Ku profile and also your Twitter profile, and I noticed that you use Twitter quite regularly also, but that's Ku's competitor. What is the reason for this?
As I said, the audience on Ku is very, very different.
Got it.
The audience on Twitter is the English audience. So I use LinkedIn, I use Facebook, I use Instagram, I use WhatsApp, I use Twitter. Each one will take my message. I will post the same thing everywhere. But the people it reaches is different on different platforms. Okay. The reactions I get are different. Right? On Facebook, if I post something about our progress or something like that, I'll get a lot of love. Like I'll get 30 comments. Everything is filled with congratulations and all the best and all those things. If I post it on Twitter, 50% will say I support you, 50% will say this is nothing. Right? On Ku, I get reactions in local language, and which are again supportive, and people who are saying I want this improvement, that improvement. Right? So the flavor of what you get back from each platform is very different. And hence, why would I not use Twitter, right? Because that is where an opinionated audience is, who is only talking in English. They should know that talking in languages has a bigger role to play in a country like India. And that's why I will continue propagating the message of Ku on Twitter as well. All
right. Aprameya, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing your views with us here on The Print. We are signing out now, and thank you to our viewers as well for watching this. For The Print, this is Regina Muduklas.